Hey everybody, Jobin from the Time Pals here. Just wanted to give a shout out to my partners over at Legendary Supplements and the Legendary Legion. Their Kraken Intense Focus Blizzard Mojito flavor is something I've been using all week to focus on my work and get it done quickly and efficiently. It is a nice, cool, citrusy blast and provides a nice, clean energy that focuses on mental clarity as opposed to physical energy. So no crash, no jitters, and the benefits speak for themselves. I definitely suggest you try it, and we have a code for you to try at checkout. Just punch in Time Pals.
Late nights and cheap wine, we gather around the mic, just killing time. Tales of glory days, now long behind. A podcast of dads who lost their minds. We reminisce on the good old days.
Hey everybody. So today's episode is not going to be any sort of who's right or who's wrong controller throwing debate. It's just going to be one of those things where I will pitch a couple games and to a degree pit them against each other to see what resonated with us in our childhoods. So most of these are going to be games from way back when, from our formative years, times in the arcades before the arcades were all claw games or DDR or things that cost like $4 for one play. And we will maybe debate is not the proper word, but the Time Pals will just talk about what really stuck with them and what made them keep going back versus the other one.
It's not Risk, is it? I heard losers play Risk.
No, but this is Space Risk. Dom is setting up Space Risk, so now it's better than regular Risk because it's got space.
You can go to the moon and conquer the moon if you want.
Stop
You
drilling
can
the
conquer the moon.
oil.
But yeah, we've got all four Time Pals are on board for this, and I guess without any other delays, we'll dive right in with our first of the versus games or just the opinions. We will be doing StarCraft versus Command and Conquer. And Dom, go ahead and go first.
Oh, well, easy. StarCraft. I've actually never played Command and Conquer, but I know so much about it. So
What?
Easily StarCraft.
You never You played no Command and Conquer games?
No, I've just seen tons of videos about them, so I just know of it, but I've never actually sat down and played it.
Oh, they're fun. A lot of them still hold up today. If you have time, I'd grab. I don't know which one I would suggest you play. I feel like there's probably a cheap remastered collection. I don't know why, but Tiberian Sun was in my head. It was a good one, but for all I know, I could just be remembering it, and it's like the worst entry. But good voice acting. I think wasn't like Mark Hamill and some other people in there too.
What's his name?
I'm trying to appeal to his Star Wars side, guys. Help me out here.
Right.
Space Risk sucks. No, didn't they re-release Command and Conquer 2? Red Alert? Yeah, so I know I saw that recently in the news.
I just know something about a remaster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's only $6 right now on Steam.
Take it.
Sweet.
So obviously Command and Conquer was before your time, so you didn't play any of it.
Well, I mean, it was around the time since StarCraft was around the same time.
Yeah.
But I guess my brothers just never bothered to get it. They only got StarCraft and Warcraft 2, and those were the RTS games I was playing.
Your brothers sound terrible. So
Well, we didn't have a lot of money, so you can only...
just name like
just-
4 games.
just-
You guys were rich.
There's only so many games. It was like, oh, this one looks interesting. Okay, let's try it.
Oh, I'm sick of the lies, Shadow. No, so obviously I know the argument for StarCraft. StarCraft changed the whole game and all that good stuff. My one argument, so I agree with you. Between the two, StarCraft wins. You don't see any Korean players, cosplaying as any of the Command and Conquer guys. But I will say this about Command and Conquer, and it's going to probably go into some of the other stuff that we talk about later. But the nice thing about Command and Conquer is it took the war game thing it's been everywhere, right? And it gave it enough of a sci-fi edge that it felt fresh without with still while still being kind of grounded. So you have your two forces, what the GDI and the Nod. Basically, one side is Horde, one side is Alliance. And what they did was kind of neat is they almost stacked the deck for the villains when you play. So if you're a villain, you get access to nukes, and nukes destroy entire map. You are the good guys, you have access to the ion cannon, which just shuts down electricity. You can charge it really quick, but it doesn't do anywhere near the damage. So everybody wants to be the bad guys. So it puts you in a unique position where there's no real where the balance is there up until the very end, and then there is no balance. Like you know what I mean. So like it becomes a nice challenge versus say your StarCraft where they rock paper scissors and everybody kind of has the same thing. But one thing is faster than the other. Then you have one guys that are stronger. Then one guys are kind of everybody's virtually the same until you get to the very end, and it is fun. I will say, if because of the timeline, I think we're only comparing StarCraft 1 with Command and Conquer 1. Which
I mean,
StarCraft,
just around the general time.
Okay. If that's the case, I recommend trying Red Alert because Red Alert took everything from Command and Conquer and made it really, really fun, or more fun, I should say, with the maps and stuff like that. And they gave everything a personality. Where I would say it's probably the Warcraft influence on Command and Conquer, but everybody's got equip and it's all really fun stuff. I would try it.
Okay.
You're not going to.
Well, I just bought it, so at some point I will.
Oh shit! Really?
The remastered collection's like $6, so there you go.
Actually, yeah.
But I didn't realize
that
Conquer money. Okay.
I didn't realize that StarCraft came out 2 years after Red Alert. I thought they were around the same time.
Damn, man, you're old. Everybody but Dom is old.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm only 32. Not that old.
No. Don't rub it in.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, I gotta go with everybody else on this one. StarCraft for sure. In fact, I just recently downloaded it from the Blizzard site, so I have that on my little ally thing.
It's funny because I actually did the same thing, and I was going to play all the way through the first one, and then all the way through 2 because I never really played 2. So I was playing the other night. I just got through like the first 4 missions, but I paid money for the cartooned version of it, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, no, I gotta go with that one, surely. And you'll notice a trend in my other choices.
Yeah. You know what? I will say this. I think Command and Conquer, because of the style it is, only really appealed to a certain audience. Like, it was super popular. Don't get me wrong. It was very popular. It was definitely one of the ones that was considered to be its biggest competitor, at least at one time. But I think there's a reason why it doesn't hang around. There's a reason why it's not here anymore. Is you can only really give that style of game, that hyper military style of game, so many different iterations before it feels the same. Versus, say, StarCraft, they very wisely don't release something new every 2-3 years like they were doing with Command and Conquer.
Yeah,
It's you feel like the carrot and the stick, right? You feel like when they do release something, it's an event. Versus Command and Conquer, you're kind of like setting your watch every 3 years. So yeah, very, very smart on the Blizzard part.
At the same time, though, one could say that it took them too damn long to release StarCraft 2.
Oh no, yeah, there's an entire generation of nerds like us who didn't survive to see the next one.
I mean, I fall in with you all as well. I loved Command and Conquer. I actually had Red Alert, which was kind of awkward to play on PlayStation versus StarCraft on PC. I liked Red Alert just because I looked at it. I had Warcraft, and I'm like, okay, Warcraft is fantasy, Warcraft is medievalish. Then I had Red Alert, which, okay, that's kind of in the not too. I don't remember what year it takes place, but it's modern-ish. It's maybe within a 50 to 100 years of now, and then StarCraft was obviously like the far future. So I was like, okay, I just kind of think of them as different versions. But I think just the characters in StarCraft were better in my opinion. The actual actors in Command and Conquer aside, like they had half the cast from the Battlestar Galactica TV show in Command and Conquer. They had Mark Hamill, they had James Earl Jones. Like, they got a bunch of high profile actors in there, which how the hell did you guys do that? But I guess back in the 90s, some of them might not have been as well known.
Oh, what we should mention too is it was meme worthy for like all of a couple of years. But if you ever get a chance, with the guys who've never played it, all of this, the full motion video involving the main villain is hilarious. It's like soap opera acting. It's
Yeah.
so great. It's like the I can't put it into words. I would.
Oh, it's probably on YouTube, man.
Oh yeah, it's so good. But yeah, you got to at least watch it once. It's some of the worst acting you've ever seen in your life.
I mean, also, I still have little like quotes in my head
Right.
from
I think I'm
Starcraft.
sure I've seen some
Starcraft,
videos
like,
of that.
Anytime I
you
do
know?
something, not anytime, but there's definitely times where I do something and I'm like, that was awesome. And in my head, for some reason, it's like power overwhelming. Like one of the, like it just echoes in my head like one of the Archons, those big blue energy beings from StarCraft. And just the fact that you could, just like Warcraft, you click on the units enough times, they're like, what the hell do you want? Leave me alone. Like, I like how Blizzard put in a little bit of detail like that. And the soundtrack was solid too.
Did you type in power overwhelming?
And if you type in power overwhelming, then you get the benefits of that.
The good old days where they actually let you put in cheat codes without having to like modify the files.
Oh, you like cheating?
I didn't say I like it, but it's a different way of playing, especially when you're playing single player.
We have a whole episode about how you're a terrible person.
Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes I need help by having infinite money or an indestructible army of SCVs to pick my opponents apart.
Right. I'm not as fast or quick thinking as those Koreans.
No, but they will learn their lesson when they realize they can't damage the SCVs and they're just being picked apart 5 HP at a time. Slow and painful. All right, next comparison, we're going to do a little bit of the side scroller, the beat 'em up, and we're going to do 2 games that didn't come out exactly at the same time, but they kind of leapfrogged each other. So Final Fight and Streets of Rage. And it doesn't have to be just number 1. Final Fight 1 was, I think, 89. And then Final Fight 2 was 93. But then Streets of Rage 1 was 91. So right in the middle of it. And I think Streets of Rage 2 might have come out, when they realized it was popular, it came out right against Final Fight 2. So I feel like we all played some or all of these. We'll go with Chris. You can go first this time. Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely Streets of Rage, hands down. Yeah, it's Final Fight and Streets of Rage are basically they're the same game. But I feel like, again, just for the sheer reminiscent value of it, because when I was younger, I played Streets of Rage. I didn't play Final Fight until just maybe a few years ago on the Switch. But yeah, no, Streets of Rage, it was definitely, I felt like it was a better game. I don't really have anything to justify that besides my opinion.
You don't need anything to justify it. I'm on your side. Sounds good. Cheating Dom, shut up.
Were there any codes? I mean, I'm sure there were codes. I never used them though, because you could always go into the options and just turn up your continues to like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
right.
There were a few things here and there. I mean, well, Dom, do you have something to add? Because this is probably past your time or before your time too, I'm guessing.
Well, I do actually remember Streets of Rage. When I looked up videos of it, I'm like, I do actually remember playing this way back, but I was pretty little at that time.
I would imagine. So I grew up a Sega kid. My number one will always be Streets of Rage but because we're doing the kind of show we're doing tonight, or today, I have no idea what fucking time it is. So Final Fight, to defend it a little bit, obviously Final Fight's an innovative game, right? Capcom, I want to say. So they were the kings of this kind of stuff. And it presented, for the first time that I can remember, a quarter muncher for me at a pizza parlor where I probably spent more money playing it than I ate there. It had some very memorable, especially the very beginning. It was very memorable. You close your eyes and you remember the main villain with the glasses and the cape and stuff like that, all the hair and stuff. And then you remember, Hager. He's the former mayor of Metro City, and he's massive. And if you hit the buttons at the same time, his arms reach out and he spins around. You have Guy the Ninja, you have Cody, right? And they actually have used these characters in other games since then. And they're all very fun to play. The sprites are huge. obviously graphic wise destroys anything that the Genesis could do at that time. It should, there should be something to it where if you want to talk to nostalgia, to show how dumb we were as kids, there was a round table pizza that had Final Fight. There's like a dozen of us. None of us knew each other. And we were just cycling through, trying to get to the end of the game. We get towards the end and we run out of money. And one of those little bastards says, I hear if you wait till the last second where it says 0-1 before the game ends, if you unplug it and plug the machine back in, it gives you an extra continue.
Oh, wow.
So of course we do it, right? And then
Right.
you have never heard 12 children scream at the same time when the entire thing reset. Because in theory, one of us could probably
Yeah.
find money somewhere, right? One of our parents. But we just waited because we believed this dumbass that, because we had the timer going. Like you could have done it. But we waited till 1, unplugged it, plugged it back in. I hope he's dead. So in any case, it also has some of my favorite end screens where there's another game that was my absolute favorite, but Final Fight had a good one where to get you to spend money, they try to pull at your young kid heartstrings
Yeah.
where there's I think dynamite attached to you, and the little wick of the dynamite's on fire and it's gonna explode, and your character is trying to blow it out. That shit's traumatizing when you're 7. I mean, or however old I was, 10 or whatever it was. But yeah, that was crazy too. There's a better one that I like called Techno Night, which hardly anybody's ever played, but that's one of the best end screens. But Final Fight will always have that in my heart. With that said, after all that long spiel, Streets of Rage is going to win for me. And Genesis Kid, it was the one game that you could hang your hat on that Super Nintendo did not have. And if you play through it, awesome characters, right? Blaze and all that shit. It had a boxing kangaroo. You know what I mean? It had an actual wrestler.
Streets of Rage 3 had the boxing kangaroo character. And then, what was it? Jack, the weird old guy with the one gigantic robot arm.
It had the soundtrack to Streets of Rage 2 is so popular that it ends up occasionally in like hip hop remixes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's a fantastic game. I unfortunately for a debate thing, we're agreeing a lot. But
We are agreeing a lot.
I should have thought of that. But in any case, yeah, my vote is still Streets of Rage. But with that said, I will defend Final Fight as the first one being a superior game to the first Streets of Rage. But then Streets of Rage takes it after that because I didn't like Final Fight 2 or 3.
So I grew up a Sega kid also. So for me, Streets of Rage was the at-home game, and Final Fight, like you, was an arcade game. I never played it on a console. I feel like because of that, I'm still in the camp of Streets of Rage just because I love the soundtrack and I love there's so many great remixes to the soundtrack. But there's one thing that I think, or one of a couple things that I think Final Fight has over the Streets of Rage characters, which is the names of the enemies.
I will agree. Yeah.
Like one of the first 2 guys that you fight, just those basic little like thug 1 and 2, their names are Bread, Bred, and Doug, Dug. And so Bread and Doug just come out there. And I mean, I think some of the villain designs are cool, a little bit cooler too. But one thing a lot of people don't realize is how many of the Final Fight characters have made it into, well, now what is just the Street Fighter universe.
Oh yeah, I barely touched it, but yeah, there's a ton of them. It's like Rolento is in there, Sodom is in there. Like all these dudes who are like, you'll remember if you think about it. The honor to get the giant character and Dore. You know what I mean? Like, he's in there. They even have Poison, who was a transgender character from way back that people kind of forgot. It was kind of advanced. It's Capcom, it's Japan, so it's a comedy character. The fact that gay characters exist for Japan is hilarious. But it's one of those things where when you look back on it now, you're like, oh wow, that was actually kind of rad because they had to come up with a reason as to why a female character should get punched in the face, and they just went, well, it's really a dude. And I'm like, hey, fine, fuck it. And in hindsight, I'm like, that's actually kind of progressive in a way. Or cowardly. I haven't quite made up my mind.
Either way, it's like they went for it. It wasn't emblazoned anywhere. But now I'm curious how many people now know it just with like the sheer amount of what are they, alternative media with Poison in it. Have you guys seen it all? Because they came out with Streets of Rage 4 a couple years back. There was an unofficial Streets of Rage 4. I can't think of what it was called. But basically they took the game, stitched all the maps together, and made one Super Streets of Rage, which was really cool. It was a fan game. But I bought Streets of Rage 4. I hadn't played it yet, I don't think. But the difference in the characters in Streets of Rage 4, Axel specifically, he went from being like this, kind of slim but fit, kind of like big chest, big arms, to just he would fail a drug test because of how roided out he has to be now.
Yeah.
Like his arms are as thick as his legs, and it's just like, what is going on?
Yeah, Axel was never supposed to be a giant dude. They had a giant dude in the game already.
Yeah, he's fucking ripped. Like, man, I love how in video games and comics and all that stuff, people, as they get older, Axel's supposed to be like 50 or something like that in Streets of Rage 4. And it was like, how did you get to 50 and just get more fit and more ripped? And the only explanation is the roids. All right, this one I will say, I feel like I have less of a stake in this just because football games, I was never really big on football games, NFL Blitz aside, because that was a fun football game. But the next one I want to do is talking about.
Okay, we're gonna fuck it.
Yeah, the cartooniest one.
The one without any rules is the most fun one for you.
Yeah, I'm not a big sports guy.
Okay.
I'm not a big football guy. But there was a period where there was actually some competition in the football game market, and it was right in like the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s. I might not have been paying attention then. But we're going to do Madden. I put Madden 98, and then NFL quarterback club 98, because that's the one that I had. My brother got it for N64, I think, and then NFL Blitz. Because in my head, that was kind of that period where there was actually a lot of competition for football games before EA just kind of killed everybody. I don't know what EA did.
Well, EA has an exclusive deal, so that's why there's no other. Did you want to start it then? Because I played probably all of them.
I mean, sure. I'll go first on this one. So I played. I did not play Madden. I don't think. God, I legitimately do not think I've ever played a non-SNES or Genesis Madden game. Like, I don't think I ever played a 3D Madden game in my life. My brother got NFL Quarterback Club. He got a N64 for Christmas one year. And that was like holy shit, we got a new system. Because my dad got a Genesis. He some dude at PG&E where my dad worked was selling his Genesis in like 20 games for a steal. So my dad got it, and that was the only reason we got out of NES in like 97, 96, 97. It was very late. And then when my brother got an N64, he got Quarterback Club and Turok. Well, Turok's single player, so we had to wait, and only game we could play together till we could afford new one was Quarterback Club 98. And then I was, I don't know what, middle school. So I took advantage of the fact that he was in elementary school and was dumb and didn't know how to play football games. And routinely it would be like 100 to 12. Like, there was just no mercy.
Good game
in Quarterback Club. And it was, I don't want to say it was exclusively as the Packers, but damn if it wasn't as the Packers a lot of the time. Because I think that was, wasn't that when kind of Favre's glory days back then?
Is that the team? He put the team on his back era too? You know that one?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have to throw to you guys on that one. I remember people, like, of course I know all the Bay Area football people, that's been around, and I paid attention to the 49ers when I was a kid. I paid attention to the 49ers long enough to hate a lot of their decisions and then finally give up on football back in like the 2010s. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know much of the other teams unless they were somebody as hyped up as, Michael Jordan was to basketball, but in football.
I can't believe that. For a guy your size, I assume that you watched football every day. and then watched college football and then like had a peewee football injury. You know what I mean? Like I fucking blew my mind. So just to take over, so I play a lot of football. Because I don't play it in real life. So long story short, that 1998 era, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but it's actually an important era in football. So Madden 98 does not do 3D. Madden 98 is actually still kind of 2D sprites in basically a 3D field, because the guys behind Madden, EA, didn't think it was possible yet to do 3D sprites. So the whole game plays super fast. It's super fun, but it looks like garbage. It looks like if you took SNES sprites and just like blew them up. It looks like shit, but it arguably plays second best. Quarterback Club, in my opinion, unfortunately, is terrible. It's got very good graphics for the time period anyway. Has virtually no announcing. Madden kills it. It's super slow. So you could tell Acclaim did the best they could, but it runs like everybody's underwater. So like picking a running play means that you will never win the game because the running backs run so slowly that everybody constantly tackles them immediately, which means it just becomes this passing bomb where you have you scoring 130 points against some poor other kid.
Well, see,
You know what I mean? Like it's
that's the thing though, is it was the complete opposite for me. I would routinely do like 70 to 90 yard runs, and I don't know what I did specifically, but they'd hit me and then just kind of like I would just shrug them off. Like I'd either slip out of the way or they just roll off me, and it was all running.
lies. You and dumb. But no, for real, like as somebody who played a shit ton of football games, not my favorite one. I will say this about Quarterback Club is the Quarterback Club had the Quarterback Club mode, which was the actual like skills thing, which was a real skill drill in the NFL. Very briefly, but I actually really loved when they used to do stuff like that, where you would, test somebody's accuracy. So like all the top quarterbacks at that time, your Marinos, your Youngs, and stuff like that, would all do the same drills to see who was the best thing A, B, or C. I really wish they would bring that stuff back. If they might have, I don't think so. But you forgot one though that actually is better than both of them, and there was a PlayStation game called NFL Game Day, and Game Day was incredible. Game Day basically was, if you like the 3D graphics, it wasn't as slick looking as Quarterback Club, although it eventually would be, but it was there. It moved with the speed of Madden, and it had better response. The only thing Madden really would win at was announcing, because the Madden franchise had really good announcing back then. And in my opinion, that third dark horse that apparently only I played trumps all of them. In fact, when it came out, it was considered to be the top of the line game. Madden was considered like, it's funny how often this happens. Challenger comes up, your game days, your 2Ks. EA then has to, get better, and it does. These other games fall away, and then EA kind of goes rest on its laurels again, which is where you're at now, right? With the exclusivity deal, where Madden is literally the same game every year. But yeah, Game Day, if you ever see it on the PlayStation, check it out. It's a great series. It was one of the first ones to do like
Yeah, I gotta agree with Underscore on this. Like, really, if we're talking about just games in that era, Quarterback Club was superior versus Madden. Now, I don't really
Blitz is
include
NBA
Blitz
Jam.
in there,
You know what I mean?
because,
Like,
right. Blitz, like if I was playing a sports game back in the day, I wanted the realism. Blitz was cool in its own right. But I wanted to like do a whole franchise and trade players, and I wanted the realism in a football game. I definitely think in terms of graphics, especially if you're talking N64, Quarterback Club was definitely higher quality than Madden was. But though I never played it, I do recall Game Day being the top tier game.
so it's settled. Me and Nickel won.
Hold on. We haven't heard Dom.
Tom doesn't play
We haven't
football.
shown
He has like
ShadoSpartan
this board game in
Nah.
front of him.
Hands down, NFL Blitz. No debate about
See,
it.
it's not a
Yeah.
football
There's
game.
nothing
It's not
more.
a football game.
It
There's
is a football
nothing.
game.
No, it's not.
There is nothing more satisfying than sacking the quarterback and just constantly do WWE body slams on them just to add, insult to injury.
Yeah, well, I've got a
Right.
question.
And-
I've got
and
a
it is
question for
fun in its
underscore
own
that's
right.
important here.
Yes.
That's going to clarify this. Okay.
Yes.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes, it is.
Then Blitz is a football game.
No, it's not.
Yes. If
Oh,
Die
it's
Hard is
not.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie, in that it is a movie that takes place at Christmas, which means that Blitz is a football game because it is a tackle simulator that happens to have a football.
No, it's not. It's a pro wrestling game that happens to have characters dressed as football players.
So it's a football game. That
I
is.
hope they do a remake of it, though.
You
Oh,
can
that'd
play
be
a
good.
remake of it. It's WWE 2K. You can do it every year if you want to.
I mean, heck, even if they do like a remake of NFL Street, which I thought was close enough.
That was fun
to
too. That was actually an
NFL
interesting
Blitz,
take.
I would.
I like that one.
I like
Yeah,
those.
I thought so
NBA
too.
Street and NFL Street were both really fun.
Yeah, I would love for them to bring
It'd
him
be-
back.
I wonder if there's any good fan. Like I'm constantly surprised by the games that fans take on and do mods and remakes for.
Oh yeah.
Mike posted one the other day. Or underscore posted one the other day. That mod for WCW Nitro that was the WWE Legends game with just the
It's
insane
amazing, right?
roster.
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh,
Like that. It's interesting because it works through the Project 64 emulator,
Mhm.
but it's its own launcher, and it's, I mean,
Its own music.
an
Yeah.
N64 game was like 32 megabytes or something like that, some small amount. But this game is like 1.2 gigs. Like there's so much work put into it. I downloaded it the other day and I started messing around in it after playing Nitro a bit, and I'm gonna dive into it for sure and enjoy the hell out of it. I'll
Very
probably
fun.
have it set up for my brother and I to play when he's down for Christmas and relive
Definitely
some of the glory days.
You'll like it. I loved it. When I could get it to work, I fucking loved that game.
Yeah, I think they've improved it a lot.
Yeah, probably by now, but I'm sure they have.
All right, so the next one we're going to go into, we're gonna pivot away from the home systems, even though I know there's been a couple of arcade touches on these ones, and we're gonna focus on games that I'm pretty sure we all played almost exclusively in arcades. I'm not sure if anybody had the home system. I know my neighbor had the PlayStation version, but Time Crisis versus Area 51. The arcade shooters. My neighbor had the Time Crisis and the light gun for PlayStation, so I was always over there playing that. But Chris, you go ahead and go first.
Okay. So yeah, this one's kind of tough. I mean, in my opinion, I think they're both pretty equal in terms of everything. Area 51 had the live action kind of graphics, live motion capture, whatever it's called. And that was like one of the first shooters I played. I remember playing. And I think because it looked so real, it made it more fun. But then you're looking at like Time Crisis 2 with the gun that actually moved when you shot and the pedal, to like get behind cover and reload. Honestly, I think it's a wash between them, between the two of them. I'd have to call it a tie,
Oh,
in my
interesting.
opinion. I think they're both equally as good and equally as enjoyable, and I'll play both of them at an arcade just to give them both equal chance.
Dom or Mike?
It's pretty close, but I'm gonna have to give it to Time Crisis only because I've actually beaten all of the Time Crisis games in the arcade. But Area 51 was the only one I could not finish. But I think they're still both really great to play in the arcade, and I always saw both of them. And usually I would go to Diablo Lanes for bowling, and either while we were waiting, we'd hit the arcade, and then after bowling, we'd hit the arcade with both of my brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm off Team Nickel now. Nickel is wrong. It's not a wash. Time Crisis wins. But here's me giving Area 51 its flowers, straight up. So Area 51, I don't know if you guys know, made by Atari. So it was its last ditch effort to basically make money after the whole Jaguar debacle. And what I love about this story is Atari can't win for their lives. They hired a guy whose name I cannot remember off the top of my fucking head because I don't have my notes anymore. But he he's the inventor of Gauntlet and Centipede and Millipede. And they basically
Huh.
gave him all this money and said, "Hey, can you make us a light gun game? Light gun games are really popular now." And at the time, you had like Lethal Enforcers and stuff. So the digitalized graphic thing was a thing still, but they wanted obviously something updated to kind of get that sweet cash. And the dude started making a game called Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter ends up being crap, so he quits and goes to EA Sports, and then or goes to EA. So Atari scrambles. They basically turn it into the sci-fi thing that you can now see, right? I will say this: Area 51 will always be close to my heart, partly because the game itself was your traditional like reload off screen thing. So I used to put quarters into both of player one and player two, and then double fist my guns, and I would just John Woo
Nice.
the whole. I would John Woo the whole game, like the entire time. It was fun as shit. Had a lot of really fun, obviously over the top graphics and over the top, things. What a lot of people don't know is they actually made a sequel to Area 51 that was a first person shooter, I think, on the Xbox, and it had David Duchovny as an FBI agent, or not like a government agent. And it had Marilyn Manson as a. I had an Xbox, so they had Marilyn Manson as one of the gray aliens. Fucking nuts. So, but yeah, and they wanted to make a movie. Like Paramount Pictures bought the rights, they just never did anything with it. So Area 51, it wins in certain ways, and part of it is you do have the great visual background. You have it's a
Mhm.
more fun experience. Time Crisis wins because the light gun is great. The pedal is innovative. This is the first time you can actually duck and stuff and reload.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. But just to compare it, like Time Crisis, for as many games as Dom has played, in my opinion, is more boring. I mean, the storyline is a detective in the players department uncovers an illegal gun running operation, traces it back to a powerful crime syndicate called Evil. He compiles a large amount of evidence and is ready to take them down, but is discovered and assassinated. Some of the evidence
What an
manages to make its way back.
what an original
Right?
name.
Some of the evidence manages to make its way back to headquarters. A special task force is put in this place. The policeman is Michael Rage Hardy and James Smarty Cools. Must face an organization led by Joe Fang and his followers Kong, the King, and the Boss. That's gobbledygook, right? It doesn't. It's just we're cops trying to fight an evil organization. And
Right.
Dom hasn't corrected me, but I actually read the plotline for Virtual Cop, which is not even Time Crisis. So like, it's that generic, right? It could be anything in the entire fucking world, and you just kind of go, okay, whatever. You remember Area 51 because it is so crazy looking on the screen. Time Crisis, better
Mhm.
game, 100%. I can't double fist a Time Crisis, the arcade machine, but in terms
can?
of
No,
I'm not.
I saw a video of some guy doing it and doing it way
not-
too well.
We're not Dance Dance Revolutioning this shit. I'm not jumping back and forth on pedals. I'm sorry, but in terms of graphics, everything, like Time Crisis wins, right? Virtual Cop is probably is around there somewhere. In terms of what I remember, I mean, it's hard not to smile and look back on being like 14 or however old I was, using two guns and like feeling amazing. It's so
Right.
dumb and goofy that I can't ever do that again.
Yeah. The big thing for me, I mean the light gun that you got the recoil when you pulled the trigger, the idea of hiding, even the fact that or maybe Time Crisis 1 didn't have it, maybe Time Crisis 2 did, but as you were going through, well, then again, Area 51 also had the alternative weapons. You could get the machine gun, you could get the shotgun, you could get the grenades, all of that stuff. For me, Area 51 actually was the one that takes it. I like the idea of the aliens. I liked the, their attempts back then to make everything look as real as possible, filming actual people. I don't think they did the what's it called, where they filmed them and then drew over them. But the thing that I loved, and I will continue to love and continue to attempt to do that I don't think I've ever been able to actually do, is uncover all of the secrets in Area 51.
Yeah, there's some famous ones.
Yeah, shooting out the windows in a certain room, shooting all the pictures on the wall in another one. There's different endings. There's different endings depending on how many panels you shoot off the mothership at the
I
end.
didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of hidden stuff in there, including a mode where you become one of the aliens or not become one of the aliens that's attacked. You become another alien. You're called the Kron Hunter, which is an alien that's there to hunt the other aliens. And to get that,
I remember this.
you have to shoot. You can't shoot any
Yes.
of the aliens. You have to shoot the first 3 humans that you see.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing changes. It goes to like an infrared or night
Yeah,
vision type
Predator
of
style.
yeah. And it switches to that. Like Time Crisis had nothing. Like Time Crisis was just you hop in, you do the hiding thing, you shoot, you go through the game. For me, extras like that really made a huge difference and added to like, well, I've never seen this thing, but some kid says that if you shoot these things, then you get this thing. And there was probably 100 more made up secrets for every actual secret in the game. But it was
I
just
miss those days, by the way. Like EGM used to pull that shit every April Fool's. They would
Yeah.
make up a secret in there, and we would sometimes fall for that shit. I'm not even kidding.
sometimes almost all the time.
There was only one where they blew their load a little too early so they made up a Street Fighter character that they end up making a real character later, who's like this teacher of Ryu, and I forget his name.
Was it Gen or whatever?
Yeah,
his
it was
name
like
is?
Gen, like a really old guy, and they made his date of birth April Fool's, and I don't know how old I was, but I figured that shit out, and I'm like, I'm the smartest kid. But but other than that, like they fooled me some good stuff, man. They had one Ninja Turtle one where they put Simon Belmont in there, and like it actually looked good, Like I'm like, oh, incredible. Obviously, it's all fake.
Speaking of EGM though, there is a Kickstarter right now for an EGM history book, the EGM Compendium,
Ooh.
which it's like 350 pages. It's absolutely a coffee table book that just goes through this entire history of video games through a collection from EGM. And I saw it and it's just like, I'm buying, that's my Christmas present to myself. This year.
They gotta stop making cool shit. I'm gonna buy this Nintendo one where it's only the endings of all these Nintendo games from like the first generation.
Nice.
I don't even know why I want it. I know I could just Google this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but you
I want
can
in my
Google
hands.
it, but you can't visual, like you can't get all of those EGM pages and the.
Oh no, 100%. It's gonna be on my table. I just fucking know it.
Yeah.
I know me too well.
All right, and speaking of game history, we're gonna do the last one of the longest debates, as synonymous as the Bloods versus the Crips.
Interesting,
the-
you went with that. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't think of the proper. Okay, so
You couldn't just do Coke and Pepsi or something like that. We had to bring gangsters.
hey, this is. I mean,
they're as old as the games.
think about the fans of some of these games. Are gangsters the wrong choice here? With some of the rabid people.
I got you.
With
No,
one
no,
of
I
the-
get
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Got you.
But also, I couldn't think of the proper. There was a class back in high school. It was like a lunchtime class. I think it was like once a week, which actually was like the history of red versus blue, not just specifically the Bloods and the Crips, but it was just talked about like the history, like dating back hundreds of years.
This is a class in high school?
It was like a lunchtime class. Like if you wanted to learn this, you could take your lunch and go sit. It was like whatever lunch was, 45 minutes. So it was a 2.5 hour class, all said and done, that just went into the history of like red versus blue stuff.
You had a 2.5 hour lunch? There's no way this is real. You went to an old janitor who just talked about days in Vietnam, huh?
Sir. I went to school in up until recently. I don't think they allowed.
You know what? You're right. But it makes sense why you have 2-hour lunches.
No. The class was 45 minutes a lunch for multiple weeks.
So you just... Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought you were just taking everybody else's lunches too.
No.
Interesting.
Taking the lunch. Give me your fruit cocktail.
Yeah, I was just like...
But anyway, this wonderful tangent, circle back around to Sonic the Hedgehog versus Super Mario.
I thought you were
And-
doing Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, so I'm like, the gangster thing makes sense. Now it does not anymore.
I'm talking. Oh, come on, it does. You know how fucking weird Sonic fans are.
They like drawing him fat, and then apparently that's really hot. I don't know why.
But for this Sonic versus Mario one, I want us to step out of just video games. I want us to do Sonic versus Mario via all of the forms of media that we each would individually know about for these characters. The movies, the shows, the comics, whatever else, even if there's toys that you liked of them. Like anything is on the board for this on why you prefer one to the other. And Mike, you can go first.
That's a really hard one, So if you're the totality of everything is what you're saying. So if I had to choose one thing right now,
It's I'm just saying that you don't have to present your opinion only based
On
off
games.
of the games.
So-
So if you have other things like that are influencing your opinion on one versus the other, by all means bring that into your opinion / description.
So here's how I'll do it. Sega kid, so Sonic was probably my irrational defense a lot because Sonic 2 I thought was an amazing game. I played with friends all the time. But if we were going to do totality, I would say Super Mario. But one caveat to that is I've probably, out of everything, I've probably been more bored with his quote unquote classics than I have with, because they released so much shit with him on it. You know what I mean? So like there's so many Mario products that if you wanted to go all of it, I probably only liked half of it. Sonic, they started doing it again, I get it, but Sonic, there's a handful of classics and there's a lot of really bad games. But Sonic is endearing because he was marketed to us to be quote unquote cool, right? He was basically designed to be a cool character, and I fucking bought it. Like even now, like if you were gonna show just a regular kid Sonic 1 or 2 and the speed, the design, the attitude, it still shines, right? It still outshines Mario of that same era, even the N64 era. But if you were talking about well-made games, I mean, Miyamoto makes a well-made game. They're just straight up. I think the last really good song, I heard the newest one is good, but the last really good one I've ever played was Sonic Mania, where it
Mhm.
was made by guys who were fans who made homebrews. These guys actually basically put a lot of love into a Sonic game. It actually played phenomenal. If you haven't tried it yet, I recommend it.
It's a really fun game. I'm with you on it.
Very fun. Like I said, if you wanted to go everything. Now I love the movies. So the first Mario movie that I've ever seen was the Dennis Hopkins one, and it was bizarre. And then the cartoon one came out, and that was okay. I love Mario. The Sonic 1 and 2 movies. I thought they were great. I'm probably gonna love the Knuckles thing that they just did recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, it's close, but if I added everything together, I mean, I own a Bullet Bill plushie, and I have a video on one of my Instagrams where I'm throwing a what's it dude, the stone guy. I have one of those plushies, and I'm throwing them against all of my kids as their infants. So it's it's that he wins by that metric of everything. But again, Sega kid, like I'm always rooting for Sonic to do something cool. I don't care what it is, just do something interesting.
All right. I'm going to go next just because I kind of have almost the opposite opinion of that, in that for me, the Sonic games have evolved better over the years than the Mario games. Like, yeah, they'll add in more costumes. Yeah, they'll add in more powers. And maybe this is a good thing. At its core, it's still the same game. It's still, ever since they did the switch to 3D with Mario 64. And I know there have been some 2D Mario games, but I haven't been excited for them. Like, I think the last Mario game I bought was Mario, whatever one was for the Switch, Galaxy. The Switch.
Oh,
that's
it was the one
Galaxy.
where you throw your hat on.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I can't even think of the name of it.
Yeah,
At this
that's a good
point.
I don't remember what it is now.
Yeah, it's Odyssey.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I still haven't beaten it. It came out in 2017. I still haven't beaten it. And like I love Mario, but I think I like the stuff that came from Mario more than Mario itself. Like the core Mario games. I like the Mario RPG games, way better than regular Mario. In fact, Sega should take a cue and make a half decent Sonic RPG game because Nintendo has them beat like hands down there.
Oh, John, let's take our fastest character and make him turn-based.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that adds up.
Hey,
Right.
it's
played
a
Sonic
Sonic card game. Yeah, we're gonna make
Sonic,
it a deck-based roguelite for Sonic the Hedgehog. I just feel like the movies, the Sonic movies,
Awesome.
the
Love
Sonic movies were better than the recent Mario movie.
it. I agree.
I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Nothing in my head could beat Mario and Luigi Mario, played by a British person and what is Leguizamo, Puerto Rican?
Oh, we're not. You can still
Latin
delete
American.
That. You can still delete all that. You don't just say John Leguizamo. You'll be fine.
Right.
It wasn't
You
supposed to
don't
come
have
off
to,
like that, but
it-
it's two Italians played by a white British guy and a
And
Latin American
dude.
guy.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like I
We'll leave it
wasn't
out.
mean that definitely sounded way more racist than it should have. What
You
are you,
see?
one of those
You
fucking?
do listen to your own show, right? Like you know how you sound sometimes, yeah.
I stopped listening to myself years ago for this exact reason. Oh my god, I actually like and my kids love the Sonic comics, and there are hundreds of Sonic comics.
Oh,
That
they're
blew-
batshit too.
and there
Some of them
are
batshit.
almost a total of I think 17 seasons of Sonic cartoon shows.
I believe you.
Like
Yeah.
holy crap!
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's a lot.
there are like 5 or 6 series with multiple seasons, and credit to Captain Lou Albano. He did a great job doing the Mario at the beginning of the Mario cartoon, but that show did not age well, with the exception of him doing the dance. That's always doing the Mario. But yeah, like I was saying, like the Mario RPGs, Mario Party, Mario Tennis, Mario Kart. Like I love all of that stuff infinitely more than the actual Mario games, where I love the actual main Sonic the Hedgehog entries much more than their side games.
When we
So-
do our inevitable music one, remind me. We'll play the Michael Jackson had influence on Sonic 3 soundtrack.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
actual one-to-ones. It's insane.
Because the Sonic 2 soundtrack is just chef's kiss. Mwah.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
incredible.
amazing.
Go
Dom
ahead, Shadow.
or ShadoSpartan or Nickel.
All right. Well, I would probably have to give it to Mario, just because I feel like I played more Mario games than Sonic games. I'm trying to remember the earliest Sonic game, probably from the Sega Genesis. Tried playing that, but I always got stuck on whatever level it was that if you didn't get to the finish in time, it was like Sonic would drown or something.
Oh yeah. You want to talk about music
That was like-
that gives you PTSD?
Yeah.
That dun 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 dun
Oh,
dun
yeah.
dun 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 dun
What
as
was
you're
that?
drowning.
Yeah.
Chemical?
Yeah.
Was it the chemical
Chemical
zone?
Yeah, I could never get through that, so I was done with Sonic at that point.
Just struggling, watching the
And-
bubbles come up, struggling to find one of those bouncy platforms to shoot
Yeah.
you out of the water long enough to breathe.
Right.
Like, oh god.
Oh god, dude. Honestly
Man.
though, like how many hours did you spend Sonic 2 in the casino level just playing the slot machine? Like it's an amazing game.
Yeah, and then once I got a Nintendo 64, then that was obviously Mario 64. Played a lot of that, but I never did beat it. Can't remember how far I would get in. I just couldn't find all the stars. But it was still fun. Still had fond memories of that. But I love all the jokes on the Sonic 06 game and the bestiality jokes.
Oh god.
Right? Yeah.
If you guys are familiar
Yeah,
with
no,
those.
one of the worst games ever made. One of the worst games ever made.
I
I
don't-
love it for it.
I don't think I played that one, but when you said bestiality jokes, my mind just went to the fact that I'm like, how many furries respond from the Sonic thing? No, like I'm not. Let me walk that back a little. I am not yucking somebody's yum. I'm not saying the furry.
Oh no,
in
you
fact,
should be judgy.
no.
sometimes. Here's
No,
it.
I will say this. I went to Burning Man one time. This was last year. It was hot as hell out there. Half the time I was in just an open button-up shirt in my underwear. There was an entire camp group full of furries out there in
how
their
to
costumes
survive
in
that.
95 to 100. These are the toughest motherfuckers on the planet.
No
If
kidding.
shit went down, I was going to go hide at furry camp.
They should be killing Al Qaeda. That's insane.
These are elite warriors.
God damn.
But yeah, I haven't seen the Sonic movies.
Oh, they're so good. See them, watch them, enjoy them.
So I'm sure at some point I will, if it's on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever streaming service.
Or on
but
John's
I did see that
Plex.
Mario movie, and
Yeah, right.
I did think the Mario movie was all right.
It's fine,
It's
right? It was a
enjoyable.
fine movie. It's fine.
I just,
Yeah.
it bugged me that Mario was just Chris Pratt's voice. There was no Mario voice.
Oh, true.
That's the only thing. I was like, I
You
think
could-
I just
you could
got
still
so
hear it.
used
You're like,
to
oh yeah, this is Chris Pratt.
I got so used to there being a specific Mario voice that I'm just like, it needs to be something, Chris.
Okay, so I mean, I think hands down you have to give it to Mario. If we're talking overall everything, you got to give it to Mario. There's just no question. You know, Sonic was like the cooler character back in the day, of course, but overall, it's got to go to Mario and the Mario franchise. All of the different iterations of the game, and the Sonic games, at least from what I remember, were just kind of flat, you know. After the first one, you're like, okay, number 2 is exactly the same. You know, the only cool thing that Sonic had going was Sonic and Knuckles. That, you know, that adapter, the fact that it was a game in and of itself, but also an adapter where you can put...
All of them. Yeah. Every single one.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
do it
you
on
could do
one
it on
also.
1 too? I thought it was just number 2. Okay.
No, I agree. Like at the end of the day, Super Mario is definitely the Simpsons did it meme. You know, the variety is there. You're not gonna get that much variety. There's a reason why so many weird Sonic games exist. But like I said, the Sonic ones will always have a special place in my heart.
For sure. But I'm just saying, you know, objectively, it's got to go to Mario.
I will never like knock it. The playground kid in me would badly want to defend Sonic to the death still, but we lost. We lost this one, guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
We did. I'm sorry. It's done. We didn't win that war. I'm sorry, John. We were gonna lose. We knew we were gonna lose.
I don't think we knew we were going to lose.
You know what I mean?
I mean, granted, yeah, Nintendo pretty much owns Sonic at this. I mean, Sega in general at this point.
Miyamoto was never gonna let you win. He was never gonna let you win. There's just no fucking way.
I mean, I was gonna say something. I was gonna ask a question, but then I realized the avenue that could take us down, and so I will wait to ask that question a different time. But all right, that was fun. That was fun getting into your heads a little bit on what games you liked and stuff. Like I said, it wasn't supposed to be a debate of which game is like better in general. It was just supposed to be a kind of a conversation around what was better to us, what resonated with us as kids and stuff. And I think we achieved that pretty well.
And I think I won.
Yeah, I think Nicole won.
Just by default.
So I thought we were doing Splinter Cell and Metal Gear as well.
No.
since we're not.
Save it for another. That's
But-
on the list for another episode of this.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We'll save it for the next time. I had something else prepped for this, but yeah, we'll do it. We'll do that.
All right.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
I mean,
Again, John, do you have an outro? And only John,
I
do you have
that
an outro?
that statement of, you know, this is what we were gonna do, and that's pretty much what we did. That was kind of the outro. Like, you know,
Okay.
in the loosest sense, we achieved our goal, I guess.
Don't make me go grab B Train. I'm trying my
What
best.
you, like
you guys.
to do like a proper outro?
No, I just to have episodes where I don't need to go grab the village idiot. I love him. I hope he has some good ideas. That would
Yeah,
not
no, I
have-
definitely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it'll be fun to have him back.
But in any case, this is _ for the rest of the Time Pals, and we will see you next time.